Throughout the years, there have been so many awesome ROM hack releases, but besides the famous Drayano hacks, it always felt like the DS was one step behind. The hacks that did release for it mostly didn't have stuff like Pokemon Past Generation 4 or even Mega Evolutions, but with the release of a special decomp, that has totally changed in 2025. And that brings us to today's game, Pokemon Heartgold Generations, created by Spearmint. It not only features over 950 Pokemon all the way up until Generation 9, but they've also implemented fully functional Mega Evolutions, something that's incredibly rare in DS hacks. And to make your experience even better, they have altered gym leader teams so that they're more difficult to beat, and about a million other quality of life features we'll get into as we run into them. And since there's so many new Pokemon in here, I decided to play through it as a nuzlocke with only the rarest encounters. These are Pokemon that if you don't search for them, you're probably not going to run into them on your first playthrough, because they all have a 1% encounter chance. These are absolutely not the best Pokemon in the game, so let's see if they can hardcore nuzlocke Pokemon Heartgold Generations. And here we start our journey as a trainer who only hunts the rarest of the rare Pokemon. This means we don't need any help from our mom, our neighbor Lyra, or even Professor Elm. All we need from him is his starter, just so we can immediately get rid of it the moment we find our first real encounter. I picked Chikorita because honestly, I've been giving this thing way too much hate over the years. So this one's for the single Chikorita fan watching this video right now. You know who you are. As I try to leave the lab, the professor's assistant hands me some totally normal starter items. An infinite rare candy to skip grinding and stay within the built-in level caps, an infinite healing system so we don't have to harass Nurse Joy every other minute, and a portable PC so we can change our team on the go. After stuffing all of that in my pockets, we head out, grab some scrambled eggs from Mr. Pokemon, beat up a random red-haired kid, and return to Elm to deliver his breakfast. The police are here too. You can't really see them because of the beautifully glitched textures, but let's be real, is it even a Heartgold game without graphical issues? I assume the cops are here because of the illegal medical technology they've been handing out to children, so Elm ends up going to jail. And now that he's gone, we're finally free to hunt our first 1% encounter. And that brought us to Route 29, where we get a perfect starter replacement and one of the new Pokemon that was added into this ROM hack, Palmy. It has 3 evolutionary stages, looks like a starter, and evolves in its mid-teens and again in its 30s. For me to find it, I did have to change the in-game time to daytime because night encounters are different. For example, at night the 1% encounter here is Hoot Hoot, and I can't catch that because it also has a 5% encounter rate on this route and is available on other routes, and we are only catching the rarest of the rare Pokemon. Don't forget that. Once Palmy finally joins the squad, Chikorita is immediately sent to the Shadow Realm, and I noticed something really cool. Yes, the fact that Chikorita is gone, but also that even the overworld sprites were made for the new Pokemon, and they made them fit perfectly into Heartgold's art style, almost like they were always meant to be in the game. I swing by the local Pokemart to stock up on Pokeballs, and they're running a special promotion. You can buy infinite shiny charms. Super cool, except you can only hold one of them. So unfortunately, you can boost your odds to like 1 in 2. With balls and charm in hand, we head north to Route 46 for our second team member, Pachirisu. Yes, another electric rodent Pikachu wannabe, but this one won the World Championship in 2014, so it's clearly built different. And honestly, 2 electric types isn't exactly a bad idea when the first gym leader is Faulkner. We then quickly beat up youngster Joey and his common Rattata, like why would anyone use a thing like that? And straight after we enter Dark Cave, where I quickly discovered that I am in fact completely blind. There was no light, no visibility, no vibes, only Pokemon for me to encounter. I give this place a 10 out of 10. Unlike the next team member we picked up here, the official mascot of Team Rocket that can't shut up, Meowth. But he isn't the only thing we grabbed in the area, because on Route 30, we also added a Kricketot to the team. And let's be honest, this thing isn't going to stick around for long. Now, you know who is going to be useful to me in the early game though? Comfy. Our 1% encounter on Route 32 ends up being this absolute menace. Not only should it comfortably carry early fights, but it also has a ton of self-sustaining healing moves like Leech Seed, which is going to make my opponents miserable. With 5 team slots filled, there's one last Pokemon I won before major battles start happening, and it's hiding in one of Pokemon's most mysterious locations, the Ruins of Alph. I don't know who Alph is, but he left his little baby Wynot wandering in his basement. And after a lot of searching around, we eventually found it. Now, Wynot is completely useless in a nuzlocke, but if we can keep it alive long enough to evolve into Wobbuffet, it might be able to trade its life for a few crucial KOs. With Mirror Coat and Counter, he can easily clap back at opponents that try to use it as a boxing ball, and as a last resort, Destiny Bond can guarantee 1 KO too. But we needed to get through a couple of things first to increase our level cap. First of those, Sprout Tower. So with our full team of rare Pokemon, we climb to the top where we run into the same red-haired kid as before, and his name is Sub Now. Still don't really know what that's supposed to mean, but it might be hinting at a big red button that needs to be clicked. Not sure though. He's yelling at this old monk because the guy loves Bellsprout, and honestly, I'm with him. Bellsprout isn't a 1% encounter, so it needs to get out of my way. The old man didn't seem to like that comment, and from there on out it was an all-out brawl. My Meowth completely shreds his Bellsprout, but then he sends out an illegal Weepinbell. Who does this guy think he is? Lance? He starts setting up growth, so I switched out into Kricketot expecting a special grass-type move so I can weaken him with Struggle Bug. But nope, he uses Wrap instead, and not only does that trap my Kricketot, but it also kills it. Our first major battle and we already lose a teammate. To be fair, it was probably our worst Pokemon, but we still have to pay respect to him, so let's all press F. We get revenge with Meowth's Fake Out, and Palmy finishes things by shocking his Hoothoot out of the sky. With the man's signature move Flash obtained, we head straight to Faulkner's gym. This time actually leveled up to the level cap, so we don't have any more excuses. I lead with Patchy, which instantly one-shots his Hoothoot with Spark. Next up is Doduo, his electric counter, since it's ground flying instead of normal now. That forces me into Comfy, who slowly drains its life away with kisses and healing. Then comes his ace, Noctowl, and this thing is not messing around, getting 2 Omni Boosts in a row with Ominous Wind, which is now Stab because of its Ghost Flying type. At least we managed to get a Leech Seed up, putting it on the timer, and from there we slowly whittle it down with Meowth's Technician boosted Bite, and finally finishing the fight by switching back into Pachirisu and sparking it into Oblivion. And just like that, our first gym badge is secured. No more rare encounters would show up until Ilex Forest, so we sprinted straight through Union Cave, but along the way I noticed something extremely suspicious. There's this shady guy just casually blocking access to a well. And listen, if Pokemon has taught me anything, it's that important stuff is always hidden down wells. There have to be rare encounters down there, and I need in. But to move this guy out of the way, I needed some serious muscle, which is why I picked up the first mega capable Pokemon of the run and instantly one of the best team members we will ever have, everybody's favorite bug fighting type. No, not you, Buzzwole. Nobody likes you. I'm of course talking about Heracross. This thing is absolutely ridiculous. Insane base stats, the Moxie ability meaning every KO makes it stronger, and once it mega evolves, it gets Skill Link, letting it fire off 125 base power multi-hit attacks like it's nothing. An absolute monster. And if this team wasn't strong enough already, why not also evolved into Wobbuffet, turning from a liability into a walking death trap. To make sure the cops didn't get suspicious about us throwing a man down a well, I hired Kurt as my decoy. Unfortunately, the well itself was disappointing. No 1% encounters, just Slowpoke. And I'm not hungry. So instead, we beat up this tail-obsessed rocket admin named Proton, who showed up with a bug and a literal trash bag, so 3 aerial aces from Heracross and Team Rocket was gone, restoring the peace to this quiet little town. Kurt offered to make me some special Pokeballs after that, but I didn't want anything to do with his balls, so instead I challenged the local bug lunatic, Bugsy. He leads with Scyther, the Pokemon that ruins every noob's first playthrough of Johto. But we're a veteran, so all we need is one Fake Out from Meowth, followed by Wobbuffet tanking a wing attack and firing back a counter to delete Scyther off of the face of the planet. Next up, the big spider Ariados, and it's very well known that squirrels eat spiders for breakfast. So I brought in Patchy, who spammed Charm while Ariados was trying to set up its swords dances. Then landed 3 sparks in a row to paralyze and finish it off. Last was Ledian, which just like Noctowl got a type change and an Omni Boost from Silverwind. Didn't matter though. A Nuzzle Paralysis followed by Comfy's Kisses of Love sealed the deal. Hive Bat secured, but as we leave our rival jumps us, but this fight is over in seconds. Meowth eats Ghastly with Bite, Wobbuffet reflects Galava with Mirror Coat, and Zubat gets deleted by Spark. Then we unlock Cut, finally gaining the ability to destroy our greatest enemy, Tiny Trees. This leads us to Lyra and her grandparents, who apparently specialize in breeding Pokemon. I wasn't really interested in watching that, so instead we head to Goldenrod City, flex our massive IQ by passing the radio quiz, releases and impress the gym leader Whitney. She invites us to a battle, but I wasn't ready just yet. First, we had to evolve Palmy into Palmo, and we grab our next encounter. You're never gonna guess who it is! Another Pikachu clone, Minun. At this point, I should have called the video the Little Electric Rodents Run, but whatever, it's time to fight the cow lover Whitney, who was surprisingly easy to deal with compared to regular playthroughs. In this fight, I unleashed the full power of Mega Heracross, and it absolutely tears through Furret and Ambipom with a storm of bullet seeds. This left her ace Miltank. We land another bullet seed, and the moment she clicks rollout, her fate is sealed. This locks her into that move, allowing me to freely swap into Wobbuffet, who can easily tank a hit and get another KO with counter. One crying baby tantrum later, and the plain badge is mine. To continue, we squirt some water on a tree with aggression issues, beat it up in a fist fight, travel to Ikritik, and meet a weird guy named Bill, who proudly announced that his favorite Pokemon was Vaporeon. A very bold thing to admit in public, but okay, guess I won't be hanging out with him anymore. This led me down a dark path where we explored a burned down tower. You know, the perfect place for 10-year-olds to hang out in and battle, which is exactly what we did with our rival. This battle was incredibly easy though. Heracross one-shots Haunter with a Night Slash, Kalava eats a Fake Out plus Mirror Coat combo, and lastly, Magnemite goes down to 2 more Night Slashes from Heracross. Easy W. We then see some colorful dog Pokemon afterward, but they're not rare enough for me to care about. So on to our next pit stop it was. Morty's gym. No Rick in sight though. Actually, nothing inside at all. The entire place is pitch black except for the trainers, so we needed to use them as guidance in order to get to Morty. After falling into the endless void about 10 times, we finally reach him, submit our complaint about this dangerous gym, and then get into our battle. His Ghastly is an easy cleanup with Bite, but then Miss Magius comes out. Now a fairy ghost type, meaning that my dark type moves don't really work on it that well anymore. So I do my favorite thing, gambling with Wobbuffet's life, tanking a magical leaf and a shadow ball just to clap back with a massive mirror coat that would blow its witch hat right off of its head. Its son, Misdreavus, wanted revenge for its fallen parent, so I expected another shadow ball to take out Wobbuffet, which meant I had to swap into Meowth to counteract that. Instead, it clicked Psywave. And that's how we had our second death of the run, with Meowth going down right there and then. Not the worst misplay, I mean, who wouldn't have expected a ghost type move there, but it still hurts to lose this little guy. His technician boosted hits will definitely be missed. But its sacrifice won't be forgotten. It opens the door for Comfy to come in. I boosted special attacks with a couple of growths and then drained the life out of this Misdreavus with more kisses. This made him go into his ace Gengar, which was an easy cleanup with Heracross's Night Slash. With the fog badge in hand, we humiliate a rocket grunt in a dance-off, which somehow turns into an old man teaching me how to surf. Pokemon's really got some crazy plot lines. Anyway, we travel to Olivine, where a tiny red bird tells us that the gym leader is busy taking care of a sick Pokemon at the lighthouse. Since it's nighttime, we crashed our boat straight into there, evolve our Palmo into Palmot, and promise Jasmine we'll get the medicine for Amphi. Small problem though. The medicine is across the ocean, our boat is broken, and none of our Pokemon can learn surf. So I checked the documentation thoroughly yet again, and realized we missed a ton of important 1% encounters. So it was time for us to backtrack to Route 32 and grab our nighttime encounter, Corsola, the only rare water type in the game, and it isn't particularly well known for being great in battle. But hey, at least we can use water-based HMs now. We willingly blind ourselves for the 3rd time in Dark Cave, picking up an Alolan and Galarian Meowth this time, but also going back to Al's basement for a giant flying Dreamcatcher, Sigilif, a pretty damn good psychic flying type that is going to come in handy in our upcoming gym battle against Chuck. And finally, we return to the place where we found our ace Heracross to pick up our second best team member, Pinsir. Yes, it can also Mega Evolve, yes, it has Moxie, and yes, it's absolutely terrifying. And hey, if you want to be named after encounters like these as well and support the channel at the same time, consider becoming a channel member. It's always appreciated and helps me out a ton. After this, I take a quick group photo in the shady goldenrod sewers, evolve our cats into Alolan Persian and Berserker, hop on Corsola's back, survive the Whirl Islands, and run into that stupid dog from before again. I will never catch you, dude, just leave me alone. This guy named Yusin even gets jealous off of all the attention and challenges me to a fight right there on the beach. But this guy is clearly a wannabe trainer, because my Persian cripples his Hypno with bites and Heracross easily slashes through Gengar and Electrode with Night Slash. With that win out of the way, we never saw his face again and went to Chuck's gym to save him from being crushed by a waterfall. And this man thanked me by punching me in the face? I don't appreciate that, dude. I prefer to let my Pokemon do the talking, so let's humble him. His fighting types are also the perfect time for me to test out some of my new team members, with Sigilyph doing major damage to his team by putting Hitmontop to sleep and wiping it out with 2 more Psybeams. Primeape couldn't take too many of those either, but once Poliwrath hit the field, we did have to swap out into Mega Pinsir. With its new Aerial Aid ability, we can turn all of our normal type moves into stab flying type moves, meaning that this double hit is all we need to annihilate his Poliwrath and Heracross. Storm Badge 1, time to grab the medicine, heal Amphi, and finally stop ships from crashing into the harbor. Now that we've solved this local catastrophe, we can finally do our long-awaited battle against Jasmine. Her lead is a Skarmory, and yeah, this is not something I can deal with cleanly. I start firing off spark after spark with Power Mod, but while I'm tickling it down, Skarmory is casually stacking layers of spikes like it's redecorating the gym floor. At least I made her waste one of her Hyper Potions and got it down to a sliver before she swapped out into Steelix. I am absolutely not staying in here, so I bring out Heracross, and in the same turn she Mega Evolves and digs underground. I get a single Brick Break off, but then Gyro Ball hits like a freight train, forcing another switch. This lets me bring in Wobbuffet, who's now holding a Rocky Helmet for extra chip damage. I tank another Dick with it and then completely shatter Steelix's monstrous defense with a counter. I didn't really have another way to take this down, but my problems were far from over, because Scizor hit the field. I don't want to lose anything important here, so I pivot into Corsola, thinking that it can tank a hit. It absolutely cannot. Its Ignition boosted Fury Cutter nearly wipes my entire HP bar instantly. And at this point, I'm out of options. I didn't want to bring anything else in, so I had to make the hard decision to sack my only water type to a Bullet Punch. Not a single KO, not even a second battle. I'm sorry, Corsola, but you will not be missed, you piece of trash. With no real game plan for Scizor, I throw in Mega Pinsir, tank a Wing Attack, and hit back hard with Strength. I do know Bullet Punch will finish me off here, so I pivot again into Berserker, tank the hit, and close it out with a Fake Out into Feint Attack. With Scizor gone, Pawmod can clean house, deleting Skarmory, Magneton, and Fortress with lots of sparks and arm thrusts. Not the cleanest battle, but we only lose one Pokemon, and in return we gain the Mineral Badge. Not too shabby if you ask me. A quick lawsuit after a hiker assaulted me later, and we move on to the Lake of Rage. And I get why it's called that. There are no rare Pokemon anywhere. This would make anybody angry, let alone me. My blood literally started to boil, but not as red as the giant Gyarados we just stomped into the ground. This got the attention of someone even redder, Lance's hair. He asks for help shutting down some kind of underground black market operation, and listen, we just watched this man hyper beam someone with Dragonite. I'm not arguing with him. So I follow him into the hideout, knock out some fedora-wearing impressionists whose Golbat, Toxel, and Whipping Bell all get blasted by Sigilyph's Psybeam. This upset the tiny screaming bird, which we ended up chasing around the entire hideout until it at least opened the generator room. That sent the entire place in lockdown mode, so Ariana and a Rocket Grunt end up ambushing me. No problem, Lance and his illegal Dragonite jump in, and combined with my Mega Heracross, we completely overpower them in a matter of seconds. After they whimper out with their tails between their legs, me and Lance blow up some big balls that are powering the place, and as a reward, we grab the HM for Whirlpool. Things then start to cool down a lot, because it's time to face the man who forgot to pay his heating bill, Price. The 7th gym leader led with Sneasel. Pinsir was not impressed. One Storm Throw and its soul leaves this realm. His response? Bringing out Santa Bird. One discharge later, and it's never climbing in another chimney again. Then comes Mamoswine, and this is where things get scary. I try Mega Heracross first, but Bullet Seed doesn't do enough. And after 2 Ice Fangs, we're in range of getting KO'd by an Ice Shard, so I end up pivoting into Pinsir. He throws Mamoswine straight back to the Ice Age. We tank another Aurora Beam from the incoming Dugong just to fling it back to the Arctic, leaving him with former President Obama Snow. While he was still on the job, he always had a team of security surrounding him, but now he was all by himself, making him the perfect target for Berserker, who shrugs off everything it throws and knocks it out with 2 Metal Claws, held by Recall from Woodhammer. I head outside with my newly secured Glacier badge and get a call from the local jail. It's Elm, and he has some insider info about a Team Rocket takeover of the radio tower. So in order to stop them, we disguise ourselves, fool absolutely no one, because why would Team Rocket even hire teenagers? Instead, we just beat up the entire staff, reaching the fake radio director, which turns out to be Petrel again. He seems to love turning into people with hats, I don't know, but at least he upgraded his team quite hard since last time we met him. Not that it mattered much, because Crobat and Weezing both got fried by Minun's discharge, forcing him to send in Toxtricity. It hits me with a Venoshock and then also poisons me with Toxic, meaning that this next Venoshock is going to do double damage. My Throat Chop absolutely didn't do enough for me to stay in, so I brought in Sigilif and knocked it out with a Psybeam. We also surprisingly survive a Poison Jab of the incoming Sneasel with just 7 HP, allowing me to grab another KO. The last two, Overcool and Victory Bell, easily get erased by Swords Dance Mega Pinsir's strengths. Patrol then spills the beans. The real radio director is tied up in the department store basement. Which reminds me, they sell nature mints here now, so I spent my hard-earned cash on adamant and modest mints, because what else would my Pokemon ever need? It's not like we're nuzlocking Run and Bun where you need to calc every single battle. With the buff in nature secured, we head underground and run into our rival again. He's mad, jealous, and still using common Pokemon. Come on, dude. If you're gonna be my rival, you gotta step up your game. He took that comment real personal, because he started off by hitting me with a Poison Fang that left my Minun poisoned. Surprising, I know. We still knocked it out with a discharge, so he goes into his Ace Typhlosion. Naturally, I expect a Fire-type move here, so I swap into Pawmod, not thinking anything of it. But instead, it went for a massive Earth Power, and just like that, our starter, our first encounter, our boy, is gone. I couldn't comprehend the emotions I was feeling. We just lost our very best friend who's been with us all the way. At first it was sadness, but then I was blinded by rage and just let Sigilif come in to drop Typhlosion with 2 air slashes and then unleash the power of Heracross with zero mercy. He pounded the rest of his team into the floor. After that moment, I told him that if I ever saw his face again, I'll do more than KO his precious little common lads. We then held a beautiful funeral for Pawmod, pushed deeper into the basement, grabbed the keycards, and let the real director call the cops. When those didn't show up, I knew I had to fully lock in because we didn't want to lose anyone else. I went back to the tower, swept through Proton with Sigilif and Ariana with Pinsir, finally reaching the top of Radio Tower. There, Archer, the new leader, explains his evil plan, which consists of blasting the worst music imaginable across the region to wipe out rare Pokemon who can't stand it. I, in good conscience, can't let anybody listen to Dutch rap music, so for mine and everybody else's ears, we challenged him right then and there. And this fight was underwhelming. Grimmsnarl did almost take out Berserker with its power-up punches, but Metal Claw and Fake Out handled it perfectly, and his Scrafty and Houndoom both got obliterated by Pinsir's strengths. And that's how Archer and his music career disappeared forever. Our reward? A dirty old turkey feather. Straight into the trash you go, because now we could focus on what really matters, our final 1% encounter, who hid itself away in the freezing ice path. After grabbing the Cloak of Invincibility and doing some puzzles with it, we eventually find our savior, Cryogonal. It's not only fast and really good on the special side, but also perfect for the final gym leader, Claire, who's known to wreck the opposition with her dragon types. We carefully keep it in its ball through Claire's lava pits so it doesn't melt into a puddle ganal, and then we challenge the Lance wannabe herself to a battle. She doesn't hold back and immediately mega evolves her Gyarados. Rookie mistake. Never reveal your aces too early, because you might get paralyzed by a Minun and then deleted with a couple of discharges. Somehow through this, we survived a waterfall, which I was surprised with, but we didn't have to stay in anymore because Dragonite and Aerodactyl both got turned into ice sculptures by Cryogonal's Ice Beam. He also very bravely tanked a Fire Fang from Aerodactyl before Kingdra hit the field. I'm not sure what to do here, so I bring in Pinsir, who gets hit really hard with a Hydro Pump. There wasn't really a Pokemon on my team that could tank a couple of those, so I had to go into Heracross, my highest special defensive Mon, that was still healthy at least, and luckily it went for Dragon Pulse, which allowed me to then Mega Evolve and tank another Hydro Pump with 29 HP. From there on, we defeat the Seahorse with a Skill Link Pin Missile. Last is Drampa, who's clearly too old for this, so we break its back with one last Brick Break and win the fight without any casualties. Claire refuses to admit defeat though, So we tell on her grandpa, who asked me a bunch of questions about my favorite Pokemon. So I tell him that you just need the rarest ones if you want to win, and he thinks that's totally valid. Now that we're homies, he forces Claire to give me my badge, and instead of heading to the league with it, we summon the Thanksgiving Rainbow Turkey, get told by all of its followers that it's apparently a rare Pokemon, but I don't believe them, and KO their god in front of their eyes. Now we just had to get through Victory Road if we wanted to challenge the league. Naturally, our rival just couldn't stay away and had to show up one last time. I told him what was going to happen if I saw him again, so this time there's no mercy. We crush his Weavile with Pinsir, freeze his Crobat with Cryogonal's Ice Beam. Heracross then punches the screws out of Magnezone, and Sigilyph wipes Kadabra, Gengar, and Typhlosion with Air Slash and Psychic. Just as I'm getting ready to unload all my anger out on him, he apologizes for killing Palmon. I could see from his face that it was a real heartfelt one, so in that moment, I forgave him. This was the perfect thing to clear my mind for the upcoming Elite Four battles. So with my newfound confidence and set-in-stone team, we went on to battle our first opponent, the Psychic-type specialist, Will. There was a problem though. I leveled my Pokemon up to the level cap, which was 55, Lance's highest level Pokemon. Except Will's team was way lower, like mid-40s. I was hoping that the level cap would increase per Elite Four member, but no. Now we're super over-leveled for these fights, which made them incredibly easy. Instead of tension, we got Mega Pinsir clicking Swords Dance and deleting Will's entire existence. Koga had the same story with Sigilyph pressing Air Slash and Psychic, which turned all of his Pokemon into a little pool of poison to disappointment. Bruno showed up flexing his muscles like they were going to save him. But my Mega Heracross set up a Swords Dance and skilling straight through his entire team. Not even his own Heracross could save him from that. Karen at least tried to put up a fight because we had to Calm Mind up on Umbreon with Comfey, gave it a few kisses, and then had to pivot once Valplume showed up. Sigilyph got paralyzed by Stun Spore, Gengar forced another switch once we took out Valplume, but once Pinsir came back in, Gengar, Honchkrow, and Mega Houndoom all folded under Strength, Exizor, and Storm Throw. With the Elite Four out of the way, it was on to the full restore spamming Merchant Lance. He leads with Gyarados, the one Pokemon I'd normally want an electric type for. Except I didn't bring one, so instead, Comfey tanked a few waterfalls, Leech Seeded, Calm Minded, and Draining Kissed it into retirement. His first illegal Dragonite got the same treatment, but then came Mega Tyranitar, hitting like an absolute freight train with Stone Edge. We managed to keep ourselves alive with Leech Seed and Draining Kiss and eventually downed it with a Petal Dance. Normally this move can only confuse after the second turn you use it, but after we took down Tyranitar, my Comfey was already confused after the first turn. This turned out perfect because it allowed me to safely bring in Wobbuffet, who fossilized Aerodactyl again with his counter. His Charizard came out next and we had to swap into Sigilyph, who was able to tank a Shadow Claw with around half of its HP remaining, and with a crucial flinch on Air Slash, we were even able to get it down to full restore range after hitting another Psychic. He then hit me with another Shadow Claw, leaving my big Dreamcatcher with only 2 HP. After hitting another Psychic because he was going to full restore, we bring in Cryogonal, an incredibly risky move that ended up paying off because he tanked a Shadow Claw and froze Charizard and his last illegal Dragonite with Ice Beam. This means we are now officially champion of Pokemon Heartgold Generations, but as I was putting my glitched out character into the Hall of Fame, Professor Oak told me about a legendary trainer named Red. He was supposedly the strongest trainer in the world, but he's been training at Mount Silver for over 2 years now. And if you want to get access to it, you need to defeat every single Kanto gym. So we board a boat that almost crashes because a bored child wanted to play hide and seek, and after telling her grandpa to do some better parenting, we board in Vermilion City. The cool thing about Kanto is that the entire place is now filled with legendaries. Nearly every patch of grass has one, but unfortunately none of them are 1% encounters only. That means we have to see this entire game out with the team we have, so no more upgrades. The difficulty also spikes up a lot here in Kanto, so we're going to be in for a hard ride. And our first pit stop is going to be at Lieutenant Surge's electric type gym. This is how it went. Cryogonal beats Galvantula with 2 ancient powers, but we did get paralyzed by a Thunder Wave and Bug Buzz. For Magnezone, I swap out into Pachi to slice its HP in half with Super Fang, also getting rid of its sturdy, which means Heracross can come in and knock it out with close combat. His legendary beast Raikou then shows up, luckily is Choice Spect into Extra Sensory. This means I can Super Fang it once with Pachirisu, then bring in Persian and freely set up 3 nasty plots. Now that we were at max special attack with a plus special attacking nature, I thought the rest of the fight was just going to be a sweep. We easily KO'd Raikou, then hit the Shadow Ball on Electivire that sealed my Persian's fate. Somehow it easily survived and then countered with a close combat, putting my cat in a headlock and killing it. Here we lose a team member that was really not all that useful to me, but could have been useful in some of the upcoming fights, and this death also could have easily been prevented if I just would have swapped in Pinsir and Earthquake the rest of his team, which is what happened after this. We say goodbye to our Persian and don't really look back too much because we're on to Sabrina immediately. He definitely would have been helpful here, but we still had a lot of bug types to deal with her psychic types, and that's exactly what happened. I set up a Swords Dance with Pinsir, Mega Evolve, and shred through all of her Pokemon except for the final one, Mega Metagross. The reason? Her Alakazam outsped and nearly killed me with a Psychic. I knew this Metal Giant was going to have Bullet Punch, so I swapped in Wobbuffet, took a Meteor Mash, and countered it out of the way for my second Kanto win. On to Celadon City, where we face off against the haha flower girl Erica, who should also be an easy sweep with my bug types, but it turned out to be a little more difficult, because she's running a Paradox Pokemon, Mega Evolutions, and actual type coverage here. She leads with Jump Bluff and U-turns immediately because she wants momentum. Smart, annoying, and disrespectful, but going into Brood Bonnet was a pretty easy move for me. I knew a Dark-type move was coming out for my Sigilyph, so I swap in Heracross, tank it, and knock it out with a close combat. Jump Bluff came back out, and instead of risking my Heracross dying here, I bring in Berserker while she heals up with a full restore. From there on out, we use Fake Out and Thrash to knock it out, and just like with Petal Dance, it only took one turn for me to get confused, which allowed me to swap out into Wobbuffet while her Rillaboom hits me with a Stomping Tantrum that probably would have knocked my cat out. The turn after, Wobbuffet can tank another Wood Hammer and counter it back into Oblivion. And this is where Erica actually scared me, because she brought out Mega Sceptile. One of her Dragon Pulses takes a huge chunk out of Cryogonal's health, but I know I can take another one, so I stay in and click Ice Beam. But her Energy Ball somehow does more damage and leaves me with just 1 HP. Cryogonal really clutched up here, because if he would have died, this fight would have become a whole lot harder, and now we can just click Ice Beam to delete both Sceptile and Tangrowth. This left her with just Ludicolo, and that went down with one more Excisor from Pinsir, and that lets us claim our third Kanto Gym Badge. We then save Kanto's power system by defeating an illegal Team Rocket immigrant, ruin Misty's date, and as revenge, she unleashed the power of the God of the Sea Kyogre on my ass. I don't know how a swim school teacher got that kind of power, but there's only one Pokemon we have that can deal with it, Wobbuffet. And he was super thirsty, drinking up an Origin Pulse in one go, hanging on with just a teeny tiny sliver of HP and countering with a Mirror Coat to knock out Kyogre. She sends out Primarina and I can't stay in here, so I send in Minun, tank a Sparkling Area, and since my Thunders are now 100% accurate because of the rain, we can also one-shot her. This strategy sadly enough won't work on Seismitoad, so I swap into Heracross, Mega Evolve, and blast through his berry with a 4x super effective Bullet Seed. Starmie is a little bit of a problem child, fast, strong, and has psychic coverage. I don't really have a clean answer, so I make the call to sacrifice Comfy. He couldn't tank 2 psychics, and this death kind of hurt, because Comfy carried the early game insanely hard. But at least we already were through most of the fights where he would be helpful, so let's not let his sacrifice be in vain. Due to him dying, I could safely bring in Pinsir, Excisor Starmie, Storm Throw Lapras, and because of the Moxie boost, we also one-shotted Mega Blastoise with Earthquake. Maybe the added steel typing it has now also helped a lot. With Misty defeated and Comfy dead, our path was clear. We needed to get to Pewter City to face off against Mr. Rockhard himself, Brock. It was definitely easier than our last fight because his first stone we had to break ended up being Golem with Heracross's Bullet Seed. His Mega Aerodactyl would then take to Disguise. We know this thing is fast and really dangerous, so I don't risk anything fancy, bring in Wobbuffet, tank a Wing Attack and a Crunch, and just like all the other Aerodactyls we faced, we fossilize it yet again. For Armaldo, I bring in Berserker, tank a Liquidation, and use Fake Out and Metal Claw to handle it. I had to swap again for Caracosta, allowing it to set up a free Shell Smash. This was really scary, but instead of actually hitting a really strong move, it went for Aqua Jet on my Heracross, which we not only easily survived, but also allowed us to delete it with a single Bullet Seed. With the same move, we'd also finish off Iron Thorns, leaving him with just Tyrantrum, a really cool Pokemon that I wasn't scared of at all. But I should have been, because he somehow outsped me, used Head Smash, and left my Heracross with just 6 HP. Luckily, my close combat connects, which finally brings Brock down, but this fight could have seen me lost my best ever Pokemon. But we couldn't focus on that. We needed to get to the other side of the region so we could destroy the rest of Koga's family tree. This time it was his daughter Janine, and she would be as easy, if not easier, as her father, with her Crobat getting countered by Wobbuffet and the rest of her team all getting destroyed by Sigilif's Psychics. Not even Nasty Plot boosted Naganadel or Mega Venusaur could stand up to me. And up until this point, the wins in the run really felt earned. We'd survived Johto, we beat Lance, we handled Kanto's nonsense gyms up until now, we even adapted, pivoted, and sacrificed when we had to. And then the game looked at me and said, "Here's Blaine, you're going to be at a 5-level disadvantage, the sun is also going to be permanent, and everything is going to be on fire." And my 2 carries were Heracross and Pinsir, who were both weak to fire, so it really wasn't looking too great for me. But I was still ready to take on the trial of Incineration, and Blaine doesn't ease into it. He starts off with his Mega Charizard Y. Not only is it super fast and strong, but it also puts up the sun for the rest of his team with Drought. And I only have one option here. Minun must land a Thunder, because we had no backup, no pivot, and no second chance. I click it, it connects, and Charizard Y drops. But this was only the first Pokemon. Infernape was next. It was faster than Minun, knocked me out with a Flare Blitz, but at least we got a lot of recoil damage and Life Orb damage off. This allowed me to bring Cryogonal in, the only Pokemon that could outspeed it. I gave it Water Pulse specifically for this fight, but with the sun weakening it, it just wasn't enough, and we didn't get the lucky confusion either, and that means my Icy Snowflake also gets turned into a puddle of sad water. A necessary sacrifice, because the Flare Blitz and Life Orb damage did take Infernape out in the same turn. Both of us have lost 2 Pokemon. We're not out of this yet, because I bring in Mega Pinsir against his Magmortar, and for some reason the AI gods blessed me. He clicked Scald, allowing my Pinsir to survive easily and knock it out with a couple of Rock Slides. If he would have clicked any Fire-type move, we would have probably been done right then and there, but we're still alive and kicking. He goes into Rapidash, and I swap out into Wobbuffet. Luckily, because I Mega Evolved my Pinsir, he went for Zing Zap, which also would have hit me super effectively, and Wobbuffet can easily tank 2 of those and wipe it away with his signature counter. Then comes Ninetales, and I'm ready to let Wobbuffet die here, but it clicks Solar Beam, the only move it can't take me out with. And because of another bad AI misplay, Wobbuffet is able to get another kill with Mirror Coat. He has saved me in so many crucial moments. I can't stress enough how good Wobbuffet really was, but unfortunately his reign comes to an end once the Blue Eyes White Reshiram starts aura forming in the corner of this cave, because his blue flare connects and takes me out. And this legendary nuclear weapon shifted the entire tide of the battle. I didn't really know what I could do to it, so I brought in Sigilif and tried to put it to sleep with Hypnosis, but missed. So our Dreamcatcher also dies to a Fusion Flare. I gave it another last-ditched effort by clicking Rock Slide with Pinsir, hoping for a flinch, but that just doesn't end up happening. We did take down around half of its HP, but even one of my strongest team members just dies right there on the spot. This meant it was now my main man Heracross against his Reshiram. For some miraculous reason, we managed to outspeed, click close combat, and slay the dragon. But at what cost? We lost everything that helped us get this far. And it's not like this was the final battle either. We still had the 2 hardest battles of the entire run to go. Blue and red. So in respect of all of my fallen comrades, we held a giant beautiful funeral in the PC box and took out our final 3 team members that were left. Heracross, Berserker, and Pachirisu. With these 3, I headed to Viridian City's gym and looked Blue straight in the eye. We might be at a disadvantage here, but I still thought we had a chance. I mean, with Heracross, anything is possible, right? But Blue wasn't going to go easy on me just because I lost everyone I loved, and started out with one of the rarest Pokemon of all time, Mew. I led this fight with Berserker and used the Fake Out Trash combo to actually overpower it. I started to gain confidence after this, but then he shattered it all with just one single Pokemon. Arcanine. I'm pretty sure this thing was Choice Scarf because it used Flare Blitz to not only outspeed, but also one-shot Berserker, Heracross, and Pachirisu, ending my Nuzlocke run right then and there. I tried my very hardest to win this hardcore Nuzlocke, but unfortunately, I just wasn't good enough. Maybe it would have been possible if Sigilyph actually hit that Hypnosis on Reshiram, or if I didn't lose as many Pokemon in earlier battles, but there's no reason to reminisce on things that could have happened. Cause in the end, I couldn't beat the Heartgold Generation's Nuzlocke with only the rarest Pokemon. And that learns us something. Sometimes things just don't work out. And that's okay, because I'm still going to show you how I would have been able to beat these two fights if I still had all my Pokemon alive. With the Nuzlocke rules going out of the window, it's time to beat Blue and Red for real this time. There's no reason for me to play scared anymore, so I lead my Alolan Persian knowing exactly what I want. Nasty Plot on turn 1, Outspeed, and Dark Pulse on Mew. His Machamp tries to counteract me, but my Wobbuffet can easily come in and clean up with a counter after getting hit with Dynamic Punch. Rhyperior is no problem either. Mega Heracross shows up and presses it with a Bullet Seed, Skilling does the rest, and this Pokemon never stood a chance. For Mega Pidgeot, I use Minun and its Discharge to shock it out of the sky, but we did also get confused by Hurricane. This allows Arcanine to come in and chip me down with a single Extreme Speed, but I'm pretty sure it's locked in with a Choice Scarf, so now Persian can come in, tank a couple of those, and knock it out with 2 more Power Gems. This meant he only had 1 Pokemon left, Gyarados, and this thing kind of refused to die. It actually overpowered both my Persian and Cryogonal with Waterfalls, all because he was able to spam full restores to keep it alive. But if their Rock-type moves don't do the trick, we just gotta bring out the big guns, as Pinsir buries it under a Rock-Avalanche with 2 more Rock Slides. That defeats Blue and gets me the final gym badge of the Kanto region. We present this badge to Oak, and even though he's disappointed we didn't complete the Nuzlocke, he still grants me permission to the top of Mount Silver. And after a long climb, we stand eye to eye with the legendary trainer Red. After looking each other in the eye, we both start off with our signature Pokemon, Heracross, and Pikachu. All we needed here was a triple pin missile hit, which we immediately got, and this allowed us to throw the little rodent off the mountain. Charizard is up next, and I know a fire type move is coming my way, so I swap into Wobbuffet, tank 2 Flare Blitzes, and send the dragon back to the Dark Ages with counter. Because of the damage I took, I knew his next Pokemon Snorlax was going to take me out, so I click Destiny Bond, get taken out by a crunch like I expected, and take him to the grave with me. A worthy trade because for Blastoise we could easily bring in Minun, who one-shotted it with a Thunder, but when his final starter Venusaur hit the field, I knew I had to swap again. I used Cryogonal's Ice Beam to bring it down to around 1 HP, and after it made me catch some Z's with Sleep Powder, the hail damage would finish the job. This left him with just 1 team member, the strongest Pokemon in all of Kanto, Mega Mewtwo Y. It's absolutely terrifying. Base 140 speed, insane special attack, and coverage for days. Since Cryogonal is asleep, he instantly gets obliterated by Psystrike. Persian is able to land a Dark Pulse, but unfortunately Fire Blast also ends up scorching it. I try to end it off by outspeeding with Mega Pinsir, but I'm just too slow, and it ends up sharing the same fate as my Black Cat. Everything was falling apart. It seemed like I was going to lose the battle, but then Red made a mistake. He uses a full restore. This allows me to click Discharge with Minun, paralyze it, and even though my Thunder that should have KO'd it missed, I still had Heracross in the back. Because of the paralysis, we can now outspeed and hit one last pin missile to defeat the legendary trainer Red and become champion of Heartgold Generations with only its roster of rarest Pokemon. We might not have been good enough to Nuzlocke it, but at least we went all the way. Now, is Heartgold Generations a must-play game? Honestly, not really. Storm Silver is still a better overall experience, but, and this is important, Heartgold Generations is insanely fun for variety because it brings so many new Pokemon to the game, and all of its quality of life features also makes it easy to pick up. I think the battles in this game are a little weird, like they feel really easy in the first part of the game, but once you defeat the champion, they ramp up insanely hard. But I would say that if you have decent Pokemon knowledge, you can definitely just regular hardcore Nuzlocke this game pretty easily. easily. So if you've ever wanted to use Pokemon from Gen 5 and onward in Heartgold, I think this is the perfect game for you to try out. Now with that out of the way, I want to give a huge thank you to all the channel members because your support genuinely means the world to me and helps us out so much. And for everyone still watching, I want to wish you a happy 2026. I can't wait to see what chaos we get into next, but we're going to make it a year to remember. As always, people, I've been Zwiggo, and I'll see all of you in the next one.